Hello, Sagittarius. Welcome to an impromptu reading just for you. Now, before anyone else who's supposed to be next in line, I know Aquarius and Pisces are supposed to come today. Go, whoa, where's our reading? It's coming. Okay, this was a little issue that happened yesterday in the classroom here with Sagittarius. So I need to sit down with them and go over some stuff, and then we'll deal with you. But right now, there's a bit of an elephant in the room. Sagittarius is a bit of an elephant in the room, and it came up as a big red flag for me. I was slightly prepared for that to happen with what I'm doing this week. And because of what I'm doing this week, the mask they wear, I knew that I would have to, possibly step up to something different than I've ever stepped up to before, because I might be finding some pain, some wounds. I do that a lot on this channel. So the bit of the elephant in the room yesterday, Sagittarius, actually, before I even talk about that, I just want to say, if at any point in this reading you're feeling uncomfortable, you're feeling triggered, and you're feeling triggered in a way that makes you angry, or it makes you feel like it's too difficult to keep watching this, or you feel personally attacked, step away, because that's not what this video is intended to do for you. It is intended to trigger you, but it's intended to trigger you kind of like knowing what you might be going into and being open to investigating it. So I kind of feel like what we're going to be doing in this reading is I'm going to be pulling off a scab to a bad sore that's been sitting there for a while. There's something festering inside, some sort of a sore, some sort of an injury, and we need to take it out because it's not helping you at this point, right? It's kind of seeing it like if you have typically if you have a bad sore, you can't get out of bed. But so let's just say you can't get out of bed. And you're overcompensating, like this pain that you have, and because you're overcompensating, you're not coming into the world like really, truly, and authentically as you could be. So that's what the intention of this video is. So if at some point in this video it's feeling too difficult for you, just pull away from it. There's absolutely no obligation that you need to sit in this and you need to watch it. But I would say, try coming back to it at another point, or give yourself some space, some distance, particularly if you were involved in the reading that I had that came out yesterday for Sagittarius, because that's the bit of the elephant in the room. And I wondered if it would happen. And it actually took a while to really happen, but it came out pretty hard and fast in your reading, where everyone, almost, well, I won't say everyone, like 99% that came into that reading and at least commented on it. So I guess maybe too, that's who I'm directing this towards, that the reading was them. The reading was them. The reading was them. That's completely possible. However, it's also completely possible that other people in our lives are also going through similar pain. And it's really important for us to be able to heal ourselves, or at least recognize our pain and what has caused it, so that we can see other people's pain. Because we have to kind of be here for each other on this planet. And if, I almost felt like, one of the things that kind of felt like in that reading was a really good example of, always comes down to kids, doesn't it? Like anytime I've dealt with, like at my son's school, helping with lunch, like two kids that get in a fight or a disagreement, particularly if it's physical, right? And you can obviously see that two people have been hurt, and one person is just adamant, I'm the one who's hurt, I'm the one who's feeling all the pain, it's everything happened to me. But then you can see, well, this person has a bloody nose. I kind of think that they might have some pain too. There's two sides to a story. So as I'm getting into this, that's my intention here, is to actually kind of, here comes trigger. So if you're not ready for this, it's time to go. So to look at what's going on that you may not be able to see, that there could be someone else around you that, what was your all alone in the world, who can feel all alone in the world, who can feel, who can be going through something similar to you. It's okay to say that, you know what, this is me, I've been through this, but it's also important to step back and try to look at the roles that we played in all of the relationships that we've had, and how that could also have affected other people. And also to think about people that, might be in our vicinity, but we're not engaging with them very much. you know, that reading yesterday, it could have been the person that you meet at the mailbox every day, and they could be feeling completely alone. So that's why it's so important to try to look beyond ourselves in this reading, because quite honestly, I did this for all of us last week. I said the mask that you are wearing. I looked at that. My intention here is the mask that they are wearing. And if it feels very, very difficult to see that in other people, it's not like, well, there's something wrong with you. What the hell is wrong with you? No, it flagged to me that there's something that we need to dig out here. So honest to goodness, it might hurt because I feel like I have to rip off a scab and I have to put some gauze in there and pull out the pus. And then we have to let this heal from the inside out. So here we go. Are you ready? I'm just going to read the cards. I'm going to try not to apologize. I've given you the warnings that I feel like I need to give you, and we're going to get into it. The first thing I want to know is, what is this scab? Okay, what is this scab? What is the scab that has to be ripped off of Sagittarius? I actually feel like in this reading, I feel anxiety. I almost feel your anxiety. Like, you know, if you go to the doctor's office and when this doctor tells you, is this going to hurt? Brace yourself. You should, shit, right? Because usually, even if it's like pain, they'll say, it's not going to hurt too bad. But when they tell you, okay, so the scab that Sagittarius wears that needs to be taken off here. They need to take the scab off, and they need to look at the pus. They need to look at their injury so that they can see pain that also exists outside of themselves. What is the scab that Sagittarius wears? What is the scab, the basis of this scab that Sagittarius wears? Oh, atonement. Oh, that's interesting. Number 31. Accepting full burden of responsibility, fair and unfair, without any discounts. That's an interesting scab. So accepting full burden of responsibility. So when things go wrong in relationships, it is not just them. It is also us. And it also, when I say it's us, it can be programming that we've kind of attained through life, and yeah, we sat through that and we had to work through it. But because it could be programming that's causing us to go into has caused us to go into certain relationships in the past, you were also not showing up authentically who you are. Now, that's not to say that, well, that's a problem for you. No, it's kind of in our making, in all of our makings, really. So that's the scab, is that you have to also see the part that you play in the relationships that fail around you. And you have to also notice, this is really like justice energy. Fair and unfair without any discounts. You're not discounting anyone else's experience so that you can claim yours more strongly. That's a scab. Look at these injuries. And maybe this is something that, like, there's so many swords in her back. So maybe we're talking about more than one bed sore here. More than one bed sore. So there was like a real sense I found in that Sagittarius reading of self-protection. Self-protection, self-protection. This is my pain. This is only my pain. Who has really betrayed you in this lifetime? Where has the true betrayal come from? Because this is also reading like the Ten of Swords, like very painful endings, a sense of betrayal, a very, like, there's also, with this Ten of Swords, excuse me, maybe we need to lighten it up a bit. I find I swallow a lot of air when I talk, when I read. With this Ten of Swords, there is also a death of the ego. So there's a part of your ego that needs to fall away here. There's really a part of your ego that needs to collapse because it's suppressing your spiritual journey. An aspect of it. There's an aspect of spiritual journey here in seeing other people's pain. Wow, it's really interesting. Her one hand, there's water like running out of her hand, and it reminds me of a card. I think it is actually, I do have it here. I think, is it in this one? Oh, now I can't remember which tarot deck it is. where the woman is trying to hold water. I think it's a tarot deck. And the water is running through her fingers, like her emotions are running out. Her emotions are running out. It's almost like leaving a trail of emotional pain, but just, I'm going to carry the burden. It's all been done to me. There is a bit of, who was that yesterday? In one of the readings I had, it might have been Capricorn. So I will apologize for that if I'm getting it wrong, which sign it was. But I had to dig a little bit deeper because at first it felt like I was getting kind of like martyr energy. And I don't remember who that was. But regardless, it feels a bit like that. Like I'm going to carry all these heavy burdens. But realizing like you're really just hurting yourself. It's at the bottom. Oh, anger and chains. Downcast pride. Naked before the stars. That's where I'm going to... Oh, interesting, interesting. Anger and chains. Force channeled outside. Unreasonable, undirected, but powerful. So it's forcing... Okay. There's sort of like an unchanneled force within you, right? Like there's a part of you that's trying to come out of this. There's a part of you from the inside that's trying to push that scab off. But it can't, because you are the one that has to actively pull off that scab and get the gauze in there and let that come up. Let that pus fester out. But it becomes anger. It does become anger, and it can be unreasonable and undirected, but it's powerful. It was powerful. It caught my attention yesterday because it was the only sign where it was just so heavily like, Jesus, 99% of everyone in here. This is me, this is me, this is me. I'm thinking, didn't you all just have you last week? But that's where I had to sit down and I had to say, okay, there's a flag here. There's a red flag and I need to look at it because I'm not just here to set people off. I mean, I want us all to heal and I want us to have better relationships with ourselves and with other people. So there is, there's an anger inside. And I don't feel like it's being released in the right way. Now, downcast pride. Sorry, I'm looking at my little cheat sheets here. Bending to adapt becomes an excuse for the habit of bending. Bending to adapt becomes an excuse for the habit of bending. So you might be finding yourself compromising who you are often in relationships where you have been. So now you're trying to get out of that. You know, not bending. You need to stand strong in who you are. But you can't stand strong in who you are without recognizing the beauty, the pain, and the strength in everyone else around you. Because honestly, we are all connected. I mean, I really do visualize the expanse of the universe as God's source, which we are all a particle of, being like whole and complete, but not fulfilled, right? And to me, that's the big bang. That is the release. That is the self-undoing of one's consciousness, pride, who you are. Blow it up and send it out in all sorts of directions and let it have an immense experience beyond what one self could. But because of that, we are all this God source and we are all connected. So you might also be saying that I'm becoming adaptable. I'm becoming adaptable. I'm becoming adaptable. Are you becoming adaptable in repeat of relationships? Are you becoming, and how you show up in relationship? Do you constantly feel like you're adapting? Where you really need to look at what this sore is. I think there's more than one. And pull it off. You really need to pull it off. And there's a level of pride that has to go with it. I mean, it's not easy to say. It's not easy to say. Because I'm a human being too, and I experience this stuff as well. So I'm not trying to say this to you either as someone who is completely self-discovered. And I know everything. I don't know shit. I sit down in front of the cards to let the universe talk to us. So that's what we're doing right now. Now, naked before the stars, there's that vulnerability, right? Not bending anymore. But by not bending anymore, you may not be accepted by some people, but that's okay. That's perfectly fine. And you may not be accepted by people who you would like to have acceptance of. It's a very Aquarian feel with this too. So it is embracing the humanitarian experience of everything. Accepting our own beauty, size, color, age, and fat. That's what that is. So I think fat is a funny thing, but I mean, it is a term for a cell in our body. So accepting our own beauty, size, color, age, and fat. That is really, really intriguing for that to come right after this bending to adapt becomes an excuse for the habit of bending. There's possibly parts of yourself that maybe you don't feel comfortable in, or you haven't embraced. And I'm just doing this because I think that we all go through, there's all parts of our bodies and our minds and our thoughts and ideas that, you know, we may be kind of fluid in terms of how we embrace, but this feels like things that you're not embracing because it sticks out like a sore thumb around people that you would like to have their approval or acceptance in. So maybe you are what would be considered more voluptuous, but there's people around you who are quite thin. So it might be causing you to feel, alone. Maybe there's a feature on your face, or it's showing up very physical. So on some level too, it kind of feels a little bit like our own vanity that we have for ourselves and how we see ourselves and the pride that we have. But I get a bit of that with this anger card too, particularly with the lion roaring out. Whew. Okay, this scab. Okay, so that was, I should tell you too, so that was the Dark Mirror Oracle, and now I'm going into the Wisdom of the House of Night Oracle. The scab, the scab, the scab. Let's stick the gauze in, okay? Let's think about, we've pulled the scab off, we're putting the gauze in now. Putting some gauze with some ointment in there. So how do you heal this? How can you start healing this? Now that you've ripped off the scab and we're looking at it, how can you heal this? Oh, that's interesting. Wow. You know, that's a really, I don't know. You have lust and confidence. So let's just get into the book here. Oh my God, these are mirrored numbers, 24 and 42. Do you see what I'm saying? So the mirroring has been coming up this week, and it's been coming up in funny ways, right? But so people have identified aspects of the readings that I've been doing of themselves, but also looking beyond. See, that's the part that we're digging at in here, Sagittarius, was the not really looking beyond you, but look at, we have mirrored numbers. So this tells me absolutely unequivocally that there are people or a person that is in your community, in your vicinity, in your life that is going through exactly what you're going through. And how could you feel any more isolated by not connecting to someone who has the same experience as you? I mean, that right there, there's so much value in that. There's so much value in being able to connect with someone who's been through the same pain that you've been through. But if you don't see beyond your own pain, you won't see them. So 24, lust. My dear one, when the symbol of lust has come before you, beware that when you toy with this energy, you may become consumed by it. Now we're getting the message. Okay. You might be, so on some level here, you might be looking for sexual fulfillment, passionate fulfillment, to distract you from deep emotional pain. There is a fine balance between desire that is pure and the obsession that arises in the insatiable thrill of danger. It almost feels a bit like seeking out danger, seeking out excitement, seeking out new experience, seeking, which is a very Sagittarius energy. Is avoiding something that needs to be looked at. Be careful that your desire remains good and that your wanting doesn't cause hurt to yourself or another. It is best that you move cautiously forward. If you're asking about a relationship, you may be developing an obsessive fever that will take a long time to recover from. See, now this is something that could have happened because we're putting the gauze into the wound, right? We're putting it in there, so we're trying to absorb the poison in the wound and pull it out so it can heal. So this, I feel, could be talking about your past. Ask yourself, what is the nature of your desire? Why do you want this so badly, or why did you? Beware, there is always a hidden agenda in lust. What is yours? So again, this is also taking me kind of around full circle to, acknowledging that every relationship that we're in, even not just the ones that don't work out so well, but the ones that do work out well, is the part we play in that. What is the part that we played in that? Okay, so confidence, that was the underline. I can't remember now. Maybe that wasn't. Fragment. You're all yelling at me. You know, saying they both came out, or I don't know. Anyways, let's read them. I'm going to anyways, but I will look at that underline because I feel like fragment. Okay, so confidence, right? Remember, these are mirroring. I want to say too, like maybe the universe is getting you ready to have a really deep spiritual connection with someone who's been through the pain that you have been through, but you're not going to see them. I feel like on some level here, before I even read this, that this lust card is yours to look at and yours to explore, the pus to pull out of the wound. And the confidence may perhaps be an individual that you were meant to meet. An individual that you may have already met, but you don't see them. You don't see their story. We don't know. Every single person has a story, man. Every single person. And I guess that's why the red flag really came up for me. Because I know you guys have a story. I read for you every week. But there was this one time we were going to look outside of ourselves and try to see other people's stories and other people's pain. There are a few of my chosen ones who have the confidence and courage to live forever. Right? To never stop believing, to never stop living, but true living, true, authentic, conscious living. And you can't do that if there's a big wound that's holding you back. There is one such immortal being who has kept this oracle safe in a castle in the Isle of Skye to be given to you when the time is right. This time is now. This is your time. The world needs you. Much is going to be asked of you as you move through your life's challenges and receive my gifts. I have to stop right there. I'm going to continue to read that. That right there is telling me right now that the universe needs you. The planet needs you to be able to help others, to heal. But you see, what I felt in that reading yesterday with Sagittarius was someone was trying to talk to you and tell you about their pain. And in the entire conversation, you, instead of hearing them, you just kept saying, yeah, I know. I felt that too. That's exactly how I feel. And this happened to me. You know, when you have conversations like that with people where you are not heard, they just keep, your story becomes their story and then they send it back to you. You see, you can't do that with people that need your help. You have to listen to them. Know that I have chosen you and that you have everything you need to make the right decision. Walk with your head held high and take the next step towards your goal with confidence. I will be with you every step of the way. I feel like this is quite possibly someone that you are meant to connect with. This mirroring energy is kind of beautiful in a painful way that has been showing up on the channel with these readings. But it is also the universe talking to you through me right now, right? Like I can't sit down and produce this information for you. I'm just an oracle. I'm just a divinator. I just have an antenna on my head, and that's what I'm trying to do. That's how I'm sitting in this for you. And often I get like tomatoes thrown at me and rotten vegetables, but that's okay. Do you see how important it is for you to process this pain and process it in a way that you can see other people's pain? Because you're needed. Fragment. I'm going to look at this one. I feel like that's the underline. If this was the underline as well, I feel like it's just so joined with this one, with the mirroring. So let's just look at fragment, and then I will close this off with, I don't know yet. I'm just going to sit in the energy and see what the universe tells me to do. So fragment. Sometimes it seems that life is split into so many parts, all of them separate and difficult to bring together. Family, friends, work, study. Activities can all seem unrelated to each other. My child, you are always whole, even if at times things feel separate and fragmented. That is only an illusion. Choosing this symbol reminds you that all the moving parts of your life are important. If the one you're asking about seems confusing, focus on the one that brings you clarity. Be here now and know that I love you and see you as beautiful and whole, regardless of how disconnected things seem. Also remember to take a step back when you're trying to understand something. You may be looking at only one piece of a giant puzzle, a fragment of the truth. See the big picture through my eyes, and no matter what, all is well. Okay, I feel like I can send you to your seat now, and I'm going to continue with the rest of the group. I want to get that. Okay. So we dug the wound out. I want you to all process it in your own way, obviously. I'm not going to go much deeper into it. I think it's already very specific. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go into my star seed. I'm going to pull you out a card. I have a sense, a feeling here of very starseed type energy. Like, you know, the cosmos are trying to talk to you. The cosmos are trying to tell you how important it is that you can be here for the other people in your life. Like, could you imagine if a social worker, if every time, or even a psychiatrist, you know, every time somebody came to them to express the pain that they had, they were putting their hand out, asking for help. And the response was, yeah, that's exactly what I've been through. You know, when that happened to me, this is how I felt, and this is what I did. It's like the person will feel completely unheard. Okay, a message for Sagittarius. Message for Sagittarius. Oh yeah, that too. Okay. This is exactly how you all made me feel yesterday. I felt very, because, you know, it's not easy to be, like, to do what I do, to delve into all this energy and to delve into this pain and to pull it out all the time. And I've always been a very hopeful people, but I've always been a very hopeful people. That's interesting. I almost talked about myself like I'm more than one person. But actually, that's exactly what it feels like when I do these readings. Because I feel like I become a part of all of you when I do these readings. And that's a very heavy energy to carry. But this is, there was something I posted on my community channel yesterday. And this is kind of a little bit of that. Like, we need to be able to look at each other and help each other. I feel like I'm trying to do that for each of you, but we all also need to recognize each other's pain and help one another. I can't believe you got this card. Earthed. Learning how to be human in the world, but not of it. And this is one of those lessons. This is one of those lessons, Sagittarius. How to be human in the world, but not of it. Maybe this pain is something that your soul has experienced for the first time. So it is. It's wrapped you up in it in a big way. But again, the universe is trying to reach. Your angels, your guides, your ancestors are trying to reach you through me in this moment in time. And to just let you know, right? Like, you are not necessarily of this earth, but you're meant to be in it right now for a reason. Your life is a canvas, artist, manifestation, creative accountability. Ooh, that's interesting. That's interesting. I feel like you are probably very evolved and very strong souls to be getting such a strong message. For me to be guided to deviate from my systematic working through the zodiac. I don't think I've ever deviated. I mean, there's been the odd time where I've popped in and done a collective, but I don't think I've ever done a reading for a zodiacal group the day prior and then come back and said, oh, we need to do something here. There's flags all over this. I'm being called to do this. So, right? This is also like the importance of you. But there's a level of ego that has to be dropped in that. So I'm going to leave this reading there. There is no extended or anything like this. This was just me and you with the universe talking, conversing, giving you something to think about here. And I have done Sagittarius in 2021. What year are we in? 2021. I did a lot of inner child healing readings with you, especially in the extended. So I know you guys have been really working on some stuff. So this is one more scab. We're just pulling off here and we're digging it out. I love you guys immensely, but we have to recognize each other's pain. Thank you so much, Sagittarius. Until next time, to be gentle with yourselves. Bye.